Hey guys, tonight we step into the quiet world of medieval peasants. The sun's just beginning to sink, casting long shadows over the fields, and after a full day's work, the air is thick with a mixture of dust, sweat, and that unique peace that only comes when the day is winding down. You've spent hours in the fields, the grind of manual labor wearing you down, but there's an unspoken satisfaction in it. The earth beneath your hands is both a reminder of how much you've accomplished and how much still lies ahead. You probably won't survive this life if you don't get used to the aching muscles. But let's face it, most of us wouldn't last long in this world. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, if you're watching, drop your location and local time in the comments. Let's see how far this quiet journey stretches. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sun's slipping lower behind the hills, its last rays filtering through the trees. The animals are settling down for the night, their soft lowing and clucking a final chorus before the darkness fully takes hold. The workday is over, and while some of your fellow villagers might still be laboring away under the last bits of sunlight, you know your tasks are complete, for now at least. The days of a peasant are long, and although the hours spent in the fields seem endless, there's something almost meditative about the rhythm of it all. From dawn until dusk, it's all about labor, survival, and getting through the day. You're part of a small community, your family, your neighbors, and you all share the same burdens. But tonight, you're able to pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and reflect on the quiet satisfaction of a day well spent. As you look around at the fields stretching out before you, there's a stillness that comes with the approach of evening. The chores are done, the grain has been harvested, the livestock fed. Soon, the last vestiges of daylight will vanish, leaving you to the comforting darkness of a medieval world without electricity or modern distractions. You might have only a small window of time to enjoy this peace before the routine resumes. Tomorrow will bring a new set of tasks, and so the cycle continues. But for now, the world is hushed. The very air seems to slow down, as if giving you permission to take a moment for yourself. You feel the breeze stir as it carries the scent of damp earth, the faintest hint of freshly cut hay still lingering in the air. It's the smell of a long day in the fields, the smell of your home, the land you've worked all your life, the crops that provide for your family, the animals that help make the farm sustainable, and the earth itself are all a part of this world, a world where survival is tightly bound to the land. The fading golden light, the gentle breeze that ruffles the leaves, the distant low hum of village life. All these little moments are woven together, carrying the unspoken promise of rest. The sun sinks lower, casting everything in a golden hue, while the shadows begin to stretch and merge. The smell of smoke from a neighboring hearth wafts over the fields, and it's a reminder of the warmth that awaits you in your home. The end of the day is near, and soon you will join your family inside, where the fire crackles and the warmth of the hearth will envelop you. The work may be done, but the evening holds its own quiet form of labor, a different kind of effort, perhaps, but one that is just as necessary. But there's no mistaking the reality of your life. You're a peasant, and though the fields provide, they also demand. Historians still argue whether or not medieval peasants had it easier than people might think. Some suggest that their connection to the land gave them a sense of fulfillment, a deeper bond with nature, while others insist they were always struggling to survive, under the harsh rule of lords and the constant threat of famine. The truth is probably a bit of both, with hard days mixed in with fleeting moments of peace. You're not without your struggles, but there's something undeniably grounding about this way of life. Sure, there are no grand luxuries, no comforts that would make the nobility's lifestyle seem enviable, but there's a steady rhythm to it, a connection to the seasons, to the land, to the cycle of life. When you've spent your whole life working the soil, when every meal you eat and every day you survive is a direct result of your labor, there's a certain satisfaction that comes with it. It's a hard life, yes, but it's your life, and that means something. Now, as the last of the day's light fades away, the air begins to cool, and the darkness grows deeper. You can feel the weight of the night settling in. A few more tasks remain. Nothing major, just feeding the animals one last time, making sure the doors are secured, and perhaps even gathering a few last herbs or vegetables to store for the evening meal. But these tasks are familiar, comforting in their own way. There's a rhythm to them, and in that rhythm, a certain peace. Your world is shrinking as the night deepens. The fields are no longer visible, and only the faintest glimmer of moonlight now illuminates the landscape. The stars begin to make their appearance in the sky, and for a moment, you feel a part of something much larger than yourself. This small corner of the world, this humble existence, is connected to the vast expanse above. The quiet beauty of the night is a reminder of how insignificant and yet how crucial your place in the world really is. Tomorrow will bring more work, more labor, more sweat, more survival. But for now, it's enough to rest, to simply exist in the quiet after the storm of the day. The firelight inside beckons, a warm glow in the distance, promising a break from the outside chill. Your bed, though humble, is waiting for you. A simple pile of straw, a few blankets, but it's enough for the night. You know that sleep will come easily after a day like today. The world around you may be dark, but your little corner of it will be warm, filled with the sounds of your family, the crackling fire, and the soft hum of life continuing on. The call to supper is almost a ritual in itself, like the tolling of a bell, marking the end of the workday and the start of something quieter, more intimate. The crackle of the fire grows louder as you make your way inside, your boots heavy from a day spent tramping through the fields, but your steps lighter now as the promise of food warms your thoughts. The scent of simmering stew and freshly baked bread fills the air, and for a moment, the weight of the day lifts. The rhythm of the evening has started, the steady beat that will carry you through the night. This is the moment where the pace of life slows and everything that came before, the hard work, the long hours, the constant demands of survival, seems to fall away, if only for a while. In your humble home, warmth radiates from the hearth, lighting the room with its golden glow. The fire crackles and pops, throwing shadows that dance on the walls. It's not much, but in this space, with your family gathered around, there's a sense of peace that can only come from the simple primal act of sharing a meal together. As you step into the main room, you see the familiar sight of your family settling down for supper. The children, tired from their own chores, are already seated, eagerly awaiting the food that will soon be placed in front of them. The youngest is poking the embers of the fire with a stick, while the older ones pass around bowls and spoons, quietly speaking with one another. There's no rush. No one's in a hurry here. The world outside might be growing darker, the night deepening, but inside, time feels slower, softer. Here, you're not just surviving the day, you're living it, savoring it in the small moments that are yours alone. The meal is simple. A rustic stew made from whatever's available, a mix of root vegetables, maybe a bit of salted meat, or if you're lucky, some fish from the nearby river. There's bread, always bread, dense and filling. It's not much by the standards of the wealthier classes, but it's yours, made with hands that understand the land, the seasons, and the effort it takes to bring this food to the table. You can feel the earth in the taste of the bread, the salt of sweat in the meat. Everything about this meal speaks of labor, of sweat, of care. It's not just food, it's a reward for the work that has been done, a reminder that you've made it through another day. You gather with your family around the fire, the light from the hearth flickering in your eyes, the warmth of the flames spreading to your tired limbs. The conversation is light. Sometimes it's just the sound of chewing, the quiet murmurs of voices filling the space between you. In the absence of modern distractions, like the constant hum of technology, there's room for simple conversation, small stories, and the occasional laugh. The quiet moments speak volumes in a world where silence is often more plentiful than words. Still, there's more to this meal than just food. For you and for your fellow villagers, mealtimes are sacred moments of togetherness, when the divisions of the day fade and everyone is equal in the shared act of eating. You'll often hear stories told at the table, stories of ancestors, of far-off lands, or the funny little things that happened during the day. Perhaps an aunt recounts a particularly embarrassing incident from her youth, or someone tells a story about a local legend that's been passed down for generations. These are the moments where your shared history is kept alive, where family bonds are strengthened with each telling and laughter echoes in the small space. These are the things that keep you connected, that remind you that despite the hard work and the long hours, there's more to life than just survival. As the meal continues, you notice the quiet calm that settles over the room. The food might be plain, but it's enough, sometimes more than enough. It's a deep, quiet satisfaction, born not out of luxury, but out of the knowledge that your hard work, your effort, has made this moment possible. Historians still argue whether peasants, despite their hardships, enjoyed more genuine moments of contentment than the wealthier classes. Some suggest that the simple life allowed for more intimate, meaningful moments, while others believe the constant grind left peasants too weary to enjoy any of their lives fully. But in this moment, at least, as the stew is ladled into bowls and the bread is passed, it seems clear that there's a quiet, steady joy in this shared ritual. You've worked hard today, but you've earned this too, and yet there's still a certain humbleness to it all. No grand feasts, no extravagant dishes here. You're not eating roasted venison with wine poured in gilded goblets. There's no silverware, no plates, and no fine china. Just bowls, spoons, and hands that do the work, passing the food from one to the next. But there's a beauty in this simplicity, a reminder that life doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful. The meal might be humble, but the comfort it brings is real. As you finish your meal, the talk turns from food to the day's labor. Who did what? Who helped who with what task? And what's still left to do tomorrow? The older generations might share their wisdom, offering quiet advice about planting, harvesting, or dealing with a difficult neighbor. The young ones listen intently, trying to absorb as much as they can for the future. It's a kind of subtle education, passed down not through books or classrooms, but through the experience of living. Every supper, every meal is a piece of the larger story, a story that stretches back for generations and will continue long after you're gone. And finally, as the meal winds down and the last bits of bread are eaten, you feel the first stirrings of drowsiness. It's time for the evening chores, but even those feel softer now. It's easier to approach the final tasks of the night when you've shared this moment, when you've been reminded of your place in the family, in the community, and in the land. As the firelight flickers and the sounds of your family settle into a comfortable silence, the world outside feels a little further away. Tonight, it can wait. The fire flickers in the hearth, casting dancing shadows against the walls of your humble home. The heat from the flames is a welcome relief after the chill of the evening air, and you feel it slowly working its way into your tired muscles. The room is small but cozy, filled with the comforting smells of wood smoke, cooking, and the lingering scent of freshly baked bread. It's not much, but it's yours. The walls are made of rough-hewn wood and packed earth, and the roof, thatched and sturdy, keeps the elements at bay. The floor, of course, is uneven, and you can't help but notice the small cracks in the plaster, but it's a place of safety. A place where, after a long day in the fields, you can finally unwind. But the day isn't truly over yet. There are still chores to be done, tasks that must be finished before you can fully settle into the evening's calm. As the last bits of supper are cleared away, you begin the quiet routine of evening chores. It's a ritual you've come to know by heart, one that's been passed down through generations. The chores may seem small, even insignificant, but they are essential. Without them, everything would fall apart. The animals need to be fed and the barn doors secured, and your bed needs a little more preparation before you can lie down. Even these seemingly small acts are part of the fabric of your life, stitching the hours together and providing the rhythm that allows you to rest at the end of the day. The barn is never far from your mind. The animals are your livelihood. You head out into the cool evening air, your breath visible in the fading light, and make your way to the barn where the cows, sheep, and chickens are settling in for the night. They're familiar creatures, part of the family, in their own way. The cows low softly in the darkness, the chickens are already nestled in their roosts, and the occasional grunt of a pig reminds you of how much depends on them. They might not be as complex as humans, but they're just as much a part of the daily rhythm of your life. Their care, their feeding, and their security are your responsibility. It's a simple thing feeding the animals, but it's necessary, and in a strange way, it's comforting. You find a kind of peace in this quiet task, a moment of stillness that allows your mind to rest. The rhythmic act of pouring feed into the troughs, checking the water buckets, and making sure each animal has a safe place to sleep. These are the tasks that root you in the present moment. There's something meditative about it, almost like the work itself becomes a prayer, a meditation on the simplicity of life and the quiet satisfaction of completing something well. The cool evening air carries the earthy smells of straw and hay, mingling with the scent of animals and fresh grass. You can hear the rustling of the animals as they shift in their pens, and the occasional snort or whinny reminds you that you are not alone. There's a sense of peace in this, even though it's hard work. The barn is your sanctuary, a place of quiet solitude where you can reflect on the day and prepare for the night ahead. But this isn't just about the animals. The barn is also a place where you store what you've harvested, where you keep your tools, and where you take refuge when the weather gets bad. It's a hub of activity during the day, but at night, it transforms into something calmer. You close the barn doors with a sense of finality, knowing that the animals are secure, that the night will pass without incident, and that your work for the day is now complete. It's a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. You make your way back to the warmth of the house, the sound of your boots crunching on the dirt road, the only noise in the stillness of the night. The fire still burns low in the hearth, casting a soft glow across the room. Inside, the rest of the family has begun to settle in for the night. The children are already half asleep, their faces relaxed in peaceful slumber, and the older members of the household are beginning to unwind. There's no rush here, no hurry to get to bed. The pace of life is slower, more deliberate. You have the time to savor these final moments before sleep overtakes you. The final chores, securing the windows, making sure the doors are latched, are performed with quiet care. Each task is part of the ritual of winding down for the night. There's a sense of comfort in these small actions, as if you're tucking the house in for the night, preparing it for the rest that's about to come. The flickering light from the fire creates a calming ambiance, and you feel the weight of the day's work lift off your shoulders as you take your place in front of the hearth. Even in the silence, there's a subtle sense of connection here. The house may be quiet, but it's filled with the echoes of your family's presence. The low hum of the fire, the soft breathing of the children, and the occasional creak of the house settling into the night. They all come together to create a peaceful atmosphere, one that lets you feel safe, secure, and ready for the sleep that will carry you through to tomorrow. Historians still debate the role that home life played in the mental health and overall well-being of medieval peasants. Some believe that the simple communal life created strong bonds between family members, fostering a sense of security and comfort. Others argue that the constant labor and lack of privacy made it hard to truly rest and recover. But whatever the case, there's no denying that the evening rituals, no matter how humble, were a crucial part of making it through the difficult days. After all, it's the quiet moments that often matter the most. As you settle down for the night, the fire slowly dies down, leaving only the embers glowing faintly in the hearth. The room grows darker, the warmth of the fire fading away, but the comfort remains. The night has arrived, and soon the quiet rhythm of sleep will take over, carrying you into the dreams of another day to come. As the day finally draws to a close and the house quiets, the heart of the home is the hearth. The fire crackles and pops, casting a warm amber glow across the room, flickering against the walls like a living thing. It's not just the physical warmth it provides, it's the soul-soothing comfort that comes with it, the sense of safety it brings after a long day of hard work. This is where you and your family will gather, where stories will be shared, and where the flicker of the flames will carry away the exhaustion from your bones. The family circle is more than just a space to eat and rest. It's where connections are deepened, and the bonds of kinship are reinforced. You've labored together in the fields, but it's here, around the hearth, that you truly come together. There's something about the fire that draws people in, bringing everyone close. It might be a simple room, filled with the scent of smoke and earth, but when you're sitting around the hearth, it feels like the world narrows down to this small, safe space, shared with those you care about. In these moments, even the smallest things take on significance. The children, freshly fed and worn from the day, huddle close to you for warmth. Their sleepy chatter fills the space, punctuated by the occasional yawn or soft laughter. The older members of the family might be telling stories, passing down old tales, or simply talking about the events of the day. There's no rush. The day's work is done, and now all that's left is to be together in the shared warmth of the firelight. The stories you hear might be familiar, retold from generation to generation, but they still hold power, each retelling a little different, shaped by the storyteller's mood or the glimmer of new life in the old stories. Maybe there's a tale about an ancestor who is said to have been particularly strong or wise. Perhaps there's a favorite local legend about a mysterious creature seen late at night or a strange happening in the village. These stories aren't just entertainment. They're a way of preserving the past, of keeping history alive in the present. They are reminders of who you are and where you come from, links in a chain that stretches back through the centuries. And then there's the laughter. It might be quiet and soft, but it's there. A chuckle at a funny anecdote, a teasing word exchanged between siblings, or a shared joke that has everyone in stitches. The humor in the household isn't just for amusement, it's a survival mechanism. In a world where every day brings new challenges, laughter is a vital part of the healing process, a momentary reprieve from the harshness of reality. It's a gentle balm for tired minds and bodies, allowing you to relax into the night with the understanding that, for now, all is well. But it's not all just easy conversation. There are moments of reflection too. Moments when the firelight casts long shadows and the weight of the day can be felt in the stillness of the room. You might be reflecting on the labor of the day, on the harvest or the animals, or perhaps you're thinking of what's still to come tomorrow. There's always something to be done, another task waiting, another day to face. But in these moments, there's no hurry. There's no pressure. The fire gives you a chance to pause, to just be. Historians still debate the emotional and mental toll of peasant life. Some argue that the constant labor, lack of privacy, and stress of survival left little room for mental rest, while others suggest that these moments of quiet, like the one you're experiencing now, gave peasants a chance to recharge. In this moment, as the flames dance before you and the room fills with warmth, the outside world seems far away. The problems of the day, whether it was dealing with a stubborn ox or ensuring that the crops would yield enough to survive the coming winter, fade into the background. There's no immediate crisis here. There's only the present, the people you love, the food in your belly, and the fire that burns, offering light and warmth. There's an undeniable peace in that simplicity. The children are beginning to doze off, their heads resting against one another or on the laps of older relatives, their tiny bodies warm and comfortable. You can feel the quiet settling over the room, a soft hush that fills the space as the fire burns low. The day is done, and now it's time for rest. But even as the rest of the family prepares to sleep, there's a lingering sense of connection. In a world without electricity or constant noise, the night is quieter. The sounds of nature, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, seem louder. The air is still, and in the absence of distractions, the quiet moments stand out. You might be aware of the cool night air pressing gently against the windows, or hear the occasional animal call from the nearby fields. These sounds are as much a part of the night as the soft glow of the fire or the warmth of your blankets. The peaceful hum of the evening is a reminder that even in the hardest of times, there's a kind of peace to be found in the simple acts of life. The fire, the food, the company. These are the things that make the long days bearable, that transform the grind of survival into something more meaningful. It's a quiet kind of joy, one that comes not from wealth or luxury, but from the knowledge that you have made it through another day and that the people around you are safe, warm, and well. As the fire's glow begins to dim and the room grows darker, there's an undeniable shift in the atmosphere. The last embers crackle softly, and the shadows on the walls grow deeper. Your eyelids grow heavy as the fatigue of the day catches up with you. You feel the quiet pressure of sleep pulling you down. The comfort of your humble bed awaits. Nothing fancy, just straw and wool blankets. But it's enough. It's more than enough. You take one last look at the fire, ensuring that it's safely dying down, and then you lie down, surrounded by the quiet company of those you love. Historians often note that for medieval peasants, the evening was a time for deep reflection. After a long day of grueling labor, there was a quiet satisfaction in the stillness of the night, a time to rest, to recuperate, and to prepare for the challenges that tomorrow would bring. And so, you settle in, the last tendrils of warmth from the hearth fading into the cool night, and allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The barn never seems far from your thoughts, even when you're finally inside the warmth of your home. As the fire's embers fade and the house settles into the quiet rhythm of the night, the barn, the animals, and the life they represent remain a constant presence in your mind. They are more than just livestock or property. They are your livelihood, your security, and, in many ways, they are the heartbeat of your daily existence. Their well-being is your responsibility, and though your chores are winding down, the knowledge that they are still out there, waiting for your care, lingers in your thoughts. The barn is a place that can hold both peace and toil. It's a sanctuary during the colder months, a haven of warmth where the animals are sheltered from the harsh winds of winter, and a place where you can tend to them in the quiet of the night. But it's also a space of labor, of work that never truly ends. Even after the evening's meal is done and the fire has started to die down, there's always the final check, making sure the animals are secure, that there's enough food, and that they're safe for the night. Your body, heavy with the weight of the day's labor, protests the idea of more work. The long hours in the fields have worn you down, and the simple act of walking out into the cool night air feels like an effort. But you trudge on, knowing that if you don't tend to the animals now, you'll have to deal with them in the early hours of the morning. The barn, like so many things in your life, demands attention at all hours. There's no reprieve from the daily grind, no weekends off, no quiet days of relaxation. The animals are already settling in for the night. The cows stand in their stalls, their eyes glimmering softly in the dark, and the sheep huddle together in their pens. The chickens are tucked in for the night, heads tucked under their wings, and the pigs grunt quietly in their corners. There's a strange peace in the barn at night, an almost meditative stillness. It's a place where you can work and think, where the hum of the animals is the only sound breaking the silence. In this moment, you can't help but feel the weight of your responsibility. These animals are more than just a part of your daily routine. They are part of your survival, part of your future. Without them, life would be even harder. The cows give milk, the chickens provide eggs, and the wool from the sheep can be spun into fabric. Without these simple gifts from the animals, survival would be an even steeper uphill battle. But there's more to the barn than just its practical role. It's a place of quiet reflection, a space where, after the bustle of the day, you can be alone with your thoughts. As you check on each animal, you find yourself thinking about the day that's just passed. The work in the fields, the struggles, the small victories. It all seems to settle in your mind as you move from stall to stall. You think about the coming seasons. Will the harvest be enough? Will the animals continue to provide for the family? Will there be enough feed to get through the winter? These questions hang in the air like the breath you exhale in the cold night. There's a soft hum of worry that rises in your chest, but it's quickly soothed by the rhythmic motions of your work. The barn's familiar sounds, the creak of the wooden beams, the soft rustle of straw, are a reminder that you are not alone. The barn, like the rest of your home, is a space that has been built over time, shaped by generations of your family, filled with the rhythms of daily life. It's a part of you just as much as the work you do. Historians still debate the role of animals in medieval life, whether peasants' relationships with their livestock were purely utilitarian, or whether they also developed emotional bonds with the creatures they cared for. Some argue that animals were seen simply as tools for survival, while others believe that peasants may have felt a deep connection to the animals that shared their lives. Whatever the case, there's no denying that the animals were crucial to your daily routine. They were a constant presence, always there, always needing care, and always offering their own small comforts. The final task of securing the barn for the night feels like a quiet act of love. You close the heavy doors, locking them firmly into place, and take a moment to listen to the sounds of the animals settling in. The barn, secure for the night, is now a silent guardian of the farm, a space where the creatures sleep and dream, just as you will soon. You stand there for a moment, letting the stillness settle over you. The cold night air, the soft murmurs of the barn, and the knowledge that you've done all you can for the day wrap around you like a warm blanket. The barn's quiet is a stark contrast to the warmth of the house, where the fire burns low and the family rests. You make your way back to the house, your feet crunching on the dirt path as the stars overhead twinkle like tiny jewels in the vast sky. The darkness of the world outside is palpable, but it's not frightening. Instead, it's a comforting kind of quiet, a reminder that you are part of something much bigger than yourself. As you enter the house, you feel the warmth of the fire kiss your skin, and you let out a slow breath, grateful for the simple comforts of home. The children are asleep now, their small bodies tucked in with blankets, and the older members of the family have begun to settle down for the night. The house is quiet, save for the occasional crackle from the hearth. The day is done, and you can finally allow yourself to unwind. The sense of peace is palpable here, a deep, comforting quiet that fills the house and your heart. The flickering light of the fire, the steady rhythm of breathing, and the sound of the night outside all combine to create a stillness that is unlike any other. You know tomorrow will come with its own demands, but for now, there's no urgency. There's only rest. As you lay down in your modest bed, the tiredness of the day presses in on you. Your body sinks into the straw and wool, and the warmth of the fire seems to carry you towards sleep. The weight of the day, of the work, the worry, the constant demands is slowly lifted as you close your eyes. The barn, the animals, the hearth, they all fade into the background as you drift into the restful, deep sleep that only a long, hard day can bring. The world outside may be quiet, but inside, surrounded by your family and the quiet hum of life, you feel safe. A simple supper, a humble feast, it's all you can hope for at the end of the day. As you settle down to eat, the quiet satisfaction of the meal is not just in the fullness it brings to your stomach, but in the ritual that surrounds it. The act of sitting together, of sharing food, is almost sacred. In a world where each day is filled with labor, where survival is never guaranteed, this brief moment of peace feels like a gift. The firelight flickers in the hearth, and the warmth of the room wraps around you, a soft contrast to the chill of the night creeping in from outside. The food itself is simple, nothing extravagant, just hearty stew made from the vegetables you've grown and the bits of meat you could afford. The bread is thick and dense, filling enough to sustain you through the night. There's no talk of fine wines or rich dishes here. In your world, the meal doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be enough. And it is. It always is. You can hear the low murmur of voices around the table as the family gathers to eat. The children, tired from their day's work, are slow to start but quickly begin devouring what's before them. There's a certain quiet joy in seeing them eat, their faces lighting up with the warmth of a full belly. It's a simple pleasure, but in a life that often feels full of struggle, it's a welcome one. The bread is passed around, and you tear off chunks to dip into the thick, savory broth of the stew. The texture is rough, the bread dense and chewy, but there's something satisfying about it, something that speaks to the earth beneath your feet, the soil that has fed your family for generations. Even the silence that settles over the table isn't uncomfortable. There's no need for grand conversation after a long day of labor. Sometimes, the act of eating together is enough. The fire crackles softly in the background, its warmth a reminder that, for all the demands of the day, there's still comfort to be found in the simple things. The day's work might have left you aching and tired, but in this moment, you are surrounded by those you love, and that makes all the difference. There's a quiet connection in this shared meal, a bond that ties you not only to the people around the table, but to your ancestors, to the generations that have come before and the generations that will follow. As the meal progresses, the rhythm of it becomes almost meditative. There's a quietness to the way the food is eaten, the soft sounds of chewing, and the occasional murmur of contentment. The children pass the bread and take turns ladling out the stew, their small hands reaching across the table. The older members of the family share small stories, moments from the day, or perhaps stories passed down from their parents or from their parents' parents. These are the stories that keep the family connected to its past, the tales that hold meaning beyond their simplicity. Maybe there's a story about a neighbor, a strange event from the harvest, or a funny incident involving a mischievous animal. These stories might seem trivial, but they serve a greater purpose. They weave the fabric of family life, passing on lessons, values, and memories. You know, even in your tired state, that these stories are important. They're the moments that keep the history alive, that bind the family to its roots. Historians still argue over the role of oral storytelling in the medieval world, whether these stories were purely for entertainment or whether they had a deeper, more practical purpose, like passing down survival tips or coping strategies for difficult times. Either way, these shared tales form an essential part of the evening. After the meal, there's a lull in the conversation as everyone begins to settle into the after effects of a full belly. The older members of the family, their day's work, perhaps heavier than yours, begin to quiet down, the fatigue from the labor slowly catching up with them. The younger ones, full of energy from their meal, continue to chatter for a while longer, but their voices grow softer as the room becomes enveloped in the gentle warmth of the fire. The night has truly settled in now, and the day's work feels far away. The quiet of the evening feels different now, darker somehow, but more peaceful. The fire burns lower, casting a softer, warmer glow over the room. The conversations around the table have slowed, and the evening's routine takes on a more deliberate pace. It's time for the chores to be done, the last rounds to the barn, the securing of the doors, making sure the home is locked and safe for the night. These are tasks that, like the meal itself, must be done but don't demand much attention. They are small, almost repetitive, but they form the final act of the day, the close to another chapter in your life. The final tasks, checking the animals, ensuring that the doors are securely latched, are an act of care. They're the final reminder of what truly matters: the home, the family, and the work. It's these small actions that add up over time, creating a life, a routine, a sense of belonging. You know that tomorrow will bring more of the same. The fields will need tending, the animals fed, the land worked. There's always work to do. But for tonight, the chores are done, the house is secured, and you've shared this moment with your family. In the soft glow of the hearth, you find a sense of peace in the simplicity of it all. Historians still argue whether medieval peasants found comfort in the predictability of their lives or whether they were simply resigned to it. There's evidence to suggest that, while life was often hard, there was a certain security in the known rhythm of the seasons, in the repeated cycle of planting, harvesting, and resting. Whether it was the promise of a meal like this one, the warmth of the fire, or the quiet joy of family time, there was peace to be found in the repetition of everyday life. As the room grows quieter, you feel the pull of sleep, the exhaustion of the day catching up with you. You know tomorrow will bring its own challenges, but for now, you have this quiet, this moment of rest. You can finally close your eyes knowing that you've done everything you could for today. The day has ended, and for tonight, that's enough. As the last crumbs of the evening meal are cleared away, the final task of the day looms ahead. Those few remaining chores that must be done before you can truly rest. It's always a quiet, almost meditative kind of work. The evening chores are no longer about the grind of labor. They are part of the ritual that allows the household to wind down and prepare for the next day. The rhythms of this life have become second nature, the motions so familiar that they are almost like the beat of a song, steady, predictable, comforting in their regularity. The first of the evening chores is always the same, checking on the animals. This is something you've done countless times, yet each time feels like a small ritual, a moment to reconnect with the creatures that share this space with you. You step out into the cool night air, the sound of your boots crunching softly against the earth, the quiet only broken by the distant calls of birds settling into the trees. The barn isn't far from the house, but it feels like a separate world at night. The dim light of the stars above and the faint glow from the hearth inside your home are the only sources of illumination as you make your way toward the familiar building. The barn door creaks as you push it open, a sound that has become as comforting as the smell of hay and straw. Inside, the animals are settling into their stalls, each in their own way, each a small world of its own. The cows are lowing softly, the chickens are nestled under their roosts, and the pigs are curled up in their pens, grunting contentedly. There's a stillness to the barn now, a quiet that is almost sacred after the hustle of the day. This is the time for the animals to rest, just as you are about to. Their soft breathing and gentle movements form a kind of lullaby, a reminder that even in the midst of hard work, life goes on at its own pace, steady and undisturbed. As you move through the barn, checking on each animal, making sure they have enough feed and water, you feel a strange sense of peace. This work, though essential, feels less like a chore and more like a way of connecting with the natural rhythm of the world. The barn is a place of both labor and solace. The animals depend on you, but in a way, you depend on them too. Without their milk, eggs, wool, or meat, your life would be much harder. But beyond that, they provide a steady presence, a constant reminder that life is cyclical, and that you too are part of a larger, ongoing cycle. Historians often debate the role of animals in the lives of peasants. Some suggest that they were seen primarily as tools of labor, valued only for the products they could provide. Others argue that medieval peasants may have developed more complex relationships with their animals, seeing them as companions as part of the household. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. The animals are, of course, essential to your survival, but there is a deep, almost unspoken connection that grows over time. You know their quirks, their personalities, you understand their needs, and in return, they offer you their presence, their help, and, in their own way, their comfort. Once you've checked that the animals are settled for the night, it's time to turn your attention to the house. It's a simple task to make sure the doors and windows are locked, but it's an important one. The world outside is unpredictable, and the night holds dangers that are often unseen. As you move from room to room, checking the doors, making sure everything is secure, you feel the finality of the day settling in. The house is your refuge, a place where, despite the hardships of the outside world, you and your family can find safety, warmth, and peace. The simple act of locking the doors, of knowing that your loved ones are safe within these walls, is both a duty and a comfort. With the house secured, you return to the warmth of the hearth. The fire has burned down to a low, glowing bed of embers now, casting long shadows across the room. The warmth from the flames still lingers in the air, a reminder of the comfort and security that this small fire provides. The children, now fully settled, are asleep, their small forms curled up under the blankets. The older members of the household, too, have found their place for the night, their breathing steady and calm. The house, once bustling with the energy of the day, is now quiet, save for the occasional crackle of the fire. You take one last look around the room, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The day is done, the work complete. There's nothing more to be done now. Tomorrow will bring its own set of tasks, its own demands, but for tonight, you can rest. The world outside, dark and quiet, holds no more power over you tonight than the dreams that will soon begin to take shape in your mind. The simplicity of it all is striking. There's no fanfare here, no grand gestures or extravagant comforts. Just the steady rhythm of the day, the cycles of work, rest, and repetition that form the backbone of your life. It's a life that many would consider hard, and in many ways it is. But there's a quiet joy to be found in it, a peace that comes from the knowledge that you are part of something larger than yourself. The earth, the seasons, the animals, all of these things connect you to a deeper sense of meaning, even on the most exhausting of days. As you settle into bed, the weight of your day's work slowly lifting from your body, you feel the quiet of the night wash over you. The last embers of the fire flicker softly in the hearth, casting a final comforting glow in the room. The sound of the world outside, wind rustling in the trees, the occasional hoot of an owl feels distant and unimportant now. You are safe. You are home. Historians still debate the mental and physical toll that such a life took on medieval peasants. For all the hardships they faced, it's clear that there was a deep sense of pride in the work they did, a quiet satisfaction in the rhythm of their daily lives. The labor was hard, the challenges many, but there was a solace to be found in the simplicity of it all, a solace that, for a brief moment at least, you can savor as you close your eyes and drift into sleep. The moon hangs low in the sky, casting its silvery glow across the fields, turning everything it touches into shades of shadow and light. It's a quiet night, the air still and crisp, the world outside your door filled with a tranquility that contrasts sharply with the work of the day. The barn, the animals, and the land seem at rest, wrapped in the cool embrace of the evening. This moment, when the world is still and the night is thick with silence, feels like a brief pause between the long, exhausting hours of labor that fill your waking life. It's in this quiet, under the muted light of the moon, that the world feels larger, timeless. The fields stretch out before you, bathed in the soft glow, the furrows of earth now obscured by darkness. The distant line of trees, heavy with leaves and age, seems almost to breathe in the moonlight, standing sentinel over the land. The only sounds are the occasional rustling of leaves in the wind or the faint hoot of an owl calling out in the distance. The night feels alive in its own way, full of unseen movement, the quiet hum of the natural world continuing as you settle in for the night. The moon, constant and unmoving, watches over everything, a reminder that life continues even when you are asleep. But it's not just the outside world that is different at night. Inside the house, the atmosphere changes too. The warmth from the fire has long since faded, and now the room feels cooler, softer. The flickering light from the hearth has dimmed to nothing more than embers casting long shadows that stretch lazily across the walls. There's a deep quiet now, the kind that settles around you like a heavy blanket, comforting and still. The hum of family life has faded, replaced by the slow, rhythmic breathing of everyone asleep. The children are nestled under their blankets, their small bodies curled up in a sleep that is free from the burdens of the day. Their faces are peaceful, the tensions of labor forgotten, their dreams as innocent as the rhythm of life that surrounds them. Even in their sleep, they are a reflection of the world you've all created, a world shaped by work, by the land, and by the quiet bond that holds you together. For the older members of the household, sleep is no less important. Their bodies are older, worn by years of labor, and the day's work has taken its toll. But in the quiet of the night, the weariness begins to fade, replaced by the soft surrender to sleep. The night offers its own restorative power, a time for rest, for the body to repair itself, for the mind to release the weight of the day. And yet, even as sleep takes hold, there's always the knowledge that tomorrow will bring more work, more demands. The rhythm of life continues, unbroken as it always has. But this quiet night, with the soft sounds of sleep and the gentle glow of the moon outside, is a reminder that life doesn't always have to be about the work, the striving. There's peace in simply being, simply existing in this moment. The land will still need tending tomorrow. The animals will need care. The harvest will still need to be brought in. The crops still need to be protected. But tonight, for a brief moment, you can rest, knowing that the work you've done today will carry you into tomorrow, and that you've earned this peace. Historians still debate the impact of the harsh medieval routine on the mental and physical well-being of peasants. Was the constant cycle of labor, with little time for rest or leisure, a source of suffering? Or was there an inherent peace in the predictability, in the steady rhythm of the seasons? Some argue that the struggle for survival was a heavy burden, while others suggest that it provided a sense of security, a comforting stability in a chaotic world. Either way, the quiet of the night offers a kind of reprieve, a time when the burdens of the day are set aside, even if only for a few hours. The moon continues its slow journey across the sky, its light softening the landscape below, as though it too understands the need for rest. In the stillness of the night, the land itself seems to exhale, the air cooler and lighter, the world gently lulling itself into slumber. The house, secure and peaceful, stands as a small beacon in the night, a place where, for now, all is well. The world beyond the walls may be unpredictable, but here, inside this humble home, there's peace. You lie there in the quiet, surrounded by the comfort of your family and the sounds of the night. The world outside may be vast, but tonight it feels small, contained within the walls of this simple home, under the steady gaze of the moon above. Your body, tired from the day's work, sinks into the bed, and sleep finally takes hold. The night stretches on, as it always does, wrapping you in its quiet embrace, giving you a chance to rest, to recover, and to prepare for the challenges that tomorrow will bring. Tomorrow will come with its own tasks, its own set of struggles. The fields will need tending, the animals will need care, and the cycle will continue. But tonight, the world is at rest, and for a few precious hours, you can rest too. The moon watches over the land, a silent witness to the quiet rituals of peasant life. And in the soft darkness, you find the peace. The moon continues its gentle vigil as the night deepens, its light washing over the land in a soft, silvery hue. The world outside is still, wrapped in the embrace of the night. But inside the house, the stillness is palpable, a quiet that feels as though it could stretch on forever. Your body, weary from the day's work, sinks deeper into the bed of straw and wool. The cool air from the open window carries the scent of earth and the faint rustle of leaves, the only sounds that break the silence. Sleep comes slowly at first. It always does. The day's labors echo in your mind like distant, fading drums, and the rhythm of the night takes time to seep into your bones. There are no distractions here, no flickering lights, no bustling streets, no clattering of machines. The silence is complete, the world outside the house as distant as a memory. You're left with only the steady rise and fall of your own breath, the sound of the wind whispering through the trees, and the quiet of your family, each person settled into their own rhythm of sleep. In these moments, as your mind drifts toward sleep, the world beyond your small room becomes less real. The flickering firelight has long since died down, leaving only the faintest glow of embers, the warmth of the hearth now a memory. The house has settled into its nightly routine, its creaks and groans a familiar lullaby. Even the animals in the barn, though far away, seem to be at peace now, their breathing slow and steady, the sounds of their resting bodies blending into the night. In the quiet darkness, the weight of the day slips away. There's nothing to do now except rest. The world has slowed, and everything is in its place. The sense of peace that fills the room is a reminder of how rare moments like this are. The day's work, the constant cycle of labor, has come to an end. The chores, the harvests, the feeding of animals, the care of the land, they will return tomorrow. But tonight, everything is still. Tonight there is rest. Historians often argue whether peasants, in their daily struggle for survival, ever had moments to simply be still, to pause and reflect on the world around them. The overwhelming weight of labor often overshadowed any time for contemplation or introspection. But it's clear that in the stillness of the night, even the hardest lives had a moment of respite. The calm that comes with the fall of night, the simple act of resting, is a gift that even the most laborious lives could not take away. In this quiet, you are reminded of the power of routine. The endless, repetitive tasks of the day, though exhausting, brought a kind of structure to life. The work is not only a necessity, it is a way of life, a rhythm that marks the passing of time, the changing of seasons. In a world that can seem so chaotic, where survival often hangs by a thread, this predictability is a comfort. It provides an anchor, a sense of continuity that connects you to your ancestors, to the land, and to the future generations who will follow in your footsteps. As your thoughts turn inward and sleep finally claims you, you can almost hear the whisper of the earth itself, the land that has sustained you, the animals that have helped you, and the family that has shared this life with you. It's a quiet understanding that no matter how difficult or demanding the work, it is all part of something larger. You are part of a cycle, a continuous loop of life, labor, and rest, each day feeding into the next. And in the quiet of the night, there is peace in that knowledge. Tomorrow, the sun will rise, and with it, the work will begin again. The crops will need tending, the animals fed, and the earth worked. But for now, the land is still. The world is at rest, and the cycle of life is temporarily paused. The warmth of your bed, the quiet of the room, and the peace of the night all combine to offer a moment of reprieve from the unrelenting pace of life. As sleep takes over, you drift deeper into the peaceful embrace of the night. The world outside may be silent, but inside, the rhythmic pulse of life continues, ever steady, ever present. The land waits for you, as it always does, and in the morning, the work will begin again. But for now, there is only rest. The night carries on in its quiet way, unhurried and unbroken. The first hints of dawn begin to edge their way into the world, painting the sky in delicate shades of purple and gray. The soft fading glow of the moon is replaced by the lighter, gentler light of the new day. The stillness of the night slowly gives way to the stirring of the world, but it is a gentle awakening, the world stretching and yawning in preparation for the busy day ahead. As you lie there in the warmth of your bed, the first few birds begin to sing, a subtle reminder that the world doesn't sleep for long. The rhythm of nature moves on, indifferent to your rest as it always does. The earth doesn't pause for tired bodies, nor does it slow for the weary heart. The dawn will rise, the animals will wake, and the world will once again be alive with work. But for now, there is a brief moment of transition, a moment where the night still holds sway, and the world feels suspended in time, hanging between the past day and the one yet to come. In the quiet dark, you feel the weight of sleep lifting slowly, your body still warm and comfortable, your muscles reluctant to leave their rest. But the call of the day is a familiar one. The sun's light, soft at first, grows stronger, creeping through the cracks in the window, coaxing you awake, reminding you that the land will not wait. There are animals to care for, fields to tend, and endless work ahead. But for a moment, it's enough to stay here in this half-sleep, suspended between the quiet of the night and the demanding call of the new day. The house is still, save for the faint sound of breathing from the others who sleep, curled in their own little worlds. You take a deep breath and let it out slowly. The world outside feels distant at this hour. The air is cool and crisp, just the right temperature to remind you of the quiet chill that dawn brings before the heat of the day sets in. You roll over slightly, your hand brushing against the rough, familiar straw beneath you. It's a humble bed, to be sure, but it's yours. It offers the comfort of knowing that, for all the roughness of the day, this small space provides shelter and warmth. The simple things, the things we often take for granted, are the things that matter most when survival is a day-to-day effort. But soon enough, the sounds of the day begin to rise. The distant calls of the roosters crowing announce that morning is truly here. It's time to begin again. The animals in the barn will stir, the cattle will low, and the sheep will shift in their pens. As the sun's first rays reach across the land, it's a signal that the day's work is about to begin. There's no time to waste. The sun doesn't wait for you to gather your energy, nor does it care whether you're ready. It rises and sets with the same steady predictability, reminding you that the world moves on, no matter your state of rest. You stretch and sit up, the heaviness of sleep finally lifting. The day is calling you, and soon, the familiar sounds of morning, footsteps, the rustle of straw, the creak of the barn doors opening, will begin to fill the air. As you pull yourself from the warmth of your bed and rise, the weight of the day ahead starts to settle in. The work won't be easy, but it's work you know well. It's the work that sustains your family, that keeps you connected to the land and to each other. And it's work that, despite its demands, offers a strange kind of peace, a steady rhythm that, like the changing of the seasons, gives meaning to your days. Historians still argue whether the predictability of medieval life, the cycle of work, rest, and labor, was a burden or a blessing. Some suggest that the routine offered comfort, a security that comes from knowing what to expect. Others believe that it was the very nature of that predictability, no breaks, no holidays, that created a kind of exhaustion that could wear down even the strongest of individuals. But what is clear is that, for all its hardships, there was something about the regularity of life that grounded you. The seasons followed their course, the sun rose and set, and each day you did what was necessary to ensure the survival of your family and your home. As you stand, stretching the sleep from your limbs, you take a moment to look around. The house is still dark, the only light coming from the faint glow of the sky outside. Soon, the children will begin to stir, the older members of the household will rise, and the work of the day will begin. The rhythm will start anew. But for now, as the first rays of the sun break through the trees and shine down on the land, you allow yourself to savor this moment, the quiet, the stillness, the knowledge that, at least for now, you've done all you can to prepare for the new day. You step into the cool morning air, the first coolness of dawn on your face, and head toward the barn. The world outside feels different at this hour, soft, almost unreal. The dew on the grass sparkles like diamonds in the early light. The air is fresh, and the earth seems to hum with the promise of a new day. Soon the work will begin again, the steady cycle of labor that fills your days. But for now, as the first animals stir and the light of the new day fills the air, you feel a quiet sense of accomplishment. The day's tasks will be here soon enough, but for this moment, you stand on the threshold of a new day, ready to begin again. The first hints of daylight creep in through the window, gently spilling across the wooden floors. The room is still, save for the soft rustling of blankets as family members begin to stir, slowly waking to the world around them. The fire has long since died down, leaving only the faint warmth lingering in the room. The house is quieter now, peaceful, yet full of the promise of another day. You can hear the soft, sleepy murmurs of the children as they begin to wake, their small voices reaching toward the quiet of the morning. It's a time of transition from the restful world of sleep into the demands of the day. But even in this early hour, the day's rhythm is already beginning to take shape. The first sounds of the outside world filter in. The distant crow of a rooster, the low hum of the barn as animals begin to stir, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the early morning breeze. It's the same sound every day, the steady reminder that life moves forward, relentless in its pace. The earth is already awake, and soon you must be too. The promise of a full day's work beckons, but for now, there is just this brief, quiet moment before the weight of responsibility settles in. As you stand and stretch, your body still heavy with the remnants of sleep, you feel the familiar tug of the land calling to you. The work of the day begins the moment you step outside. The cool morning air feels fresh on your face, a brief respite before the warmth of the day settles in. There's something about the quiet of the early morning that's special. The world is untouched by the noise and bustle that will soon fill it. For now, there's only the soft hum of nature and the faint sounds of your family beginning their own morning routines. You make your way to the barn, your boots making soft impressions in the damp earth as you walk. The first rays of sunlight have begun to stretch across the horizon, casting long, soft shadows over the landscape. The light feels gentle at this time of day, as though the sun itself is still waking up, reluctant to rise fully. The world feels delicate in these first moments, the dew on the grass sparkling like tiny diamonds, the stillness of the trees and fields holding a promise of the work yet to come. The barn door creaks as you open it, the familiar sound greeting you as you step into the dim interior. Inside, the animals are beginning to stir, their low sounds filling the air. The cows, their heavy bodies shifting in the stalls, greet you with a soft lowing. The chickens cluck softly in their roosts, stretching and shaking off the remnants of sleep. Even the pigs grunt in contentment, their quiet presence a steady reminder of the responsibilities that await. It's these small, constant rhythms that form the heart of your day, the morning care of the animals, the first tasks that must be done before the work in the fields can begin. The animals seem to welcome your arrival, their quiet, familiar sounds mixing with the soft light spilling in through the barn's open doors. There's a peace in this part of the day, a moment before the full rush of work begins. The animals don't rush, they don't hurry to be fed or tended to. They accept the pace of the morning, as you do. There's no need to rush here, no urgency. This moment, the quiet before the work begins in earnest, is a time to gather yourself, to connect with the land and the creatures that help sustain you. The barn, in its dim, cool, early light, feels like a sanctuary. It's a place where the world outside seems distant and unimportant, where the only concerns are the immediate ones, feeding the animals, checking on their health, ensuring they are ready for the day ahead. These simple tasks, repeated day after day, form the foundation of your life. It's not glamorous, and it's often exhausting, but it's necessary. Without these small, steady rituals, the rest of the day could not unfold. Historians often point out that medieval peasants were among the most connected to the land and their animals. Unlike the wealthier classes, who could afford servants and luxuries, peasants lived in constant proximity to their animals, relying on them not only for food, but for companionship and support. The barn was more than just a storage place for livestock. It was a place where life and work intersected. A place that was always with you, always part of the cycle of your daily existence. As the last of the animals are tended to and the barn door is secured once more, you step outside into the morning light. The air feels fresher now, the sun higher in the sky, and the promise of a new day settling in around you. The world outside is waking up, and so must you. The fields, the crops, the chores, they all await. But for a moment you stand still, breathing in the cool morning air. The rhythm of life is about to begin again, and you are ready for it. You're ready for the tasks ahead, the labor that will fill the day, and the knowledge that with each task completed, you are part of something larger, a cycle that stretches back through generations and will continue long after you're gone. The day is now fully awake, and as you make your way back to the house to join your family, you feel the weight of the day's labor begin to settle into your bones. But even in the midst of it, there's a sense of peace that comes with knowing that this is your life, your work, your home. The world may be vast and full of challenges, but in this moment, everything is right where it needs to be. The sun now climbs higher, casting long shadows that stretch across the land as the morning unfolds. The coolness of the early hour gives way to the warmth of the day, and with it comes the unmistakable shift of the world from quiet to busy. The day's work begins in earnest. There's no time to linger now. The animals are fed, the barn doors secured, and the moment for rest is long gone. There is only the land, the tasks that must be done, and the rhythm of your life that carries you forward, each action flowing seamlessly into the next. The field lies ahead, the soil freshly turned and waiting. This is where the real work of the day begins. The planting, the weeding, the constant tending that will, if luck is on your side, yield the harvest that will sustain your family through the months ahead. Each furrow in the earth is like a promise, an act of hope that, despite the hardships, there will be food, there will be enough. And even as you stand on the edge of the field, feeling the weight of the day's labor beginning to settle on your shoulders, you know that you are not alone in this. The land is vast, but it is also connected to your ancestors who once worked this very soil, connected to your neighbors who labor beside you, and connected to your family whose well-being rests on your efforts. The task of tending to the fields is never quick. It's a slow, steady rhythm of work that requires patience. There's the constant bending, the feeling of the earth beneath your hands, the satisfying motion of planting seeds or pulling weeds. The labor is hard, no doubt, but it has its own sort of grace. It's physical, it's demanding, but there's a quiet joy in it too. The very act of working the land is a reminder of the connection between the peasant and the earth. You're not simply taking from the land, you're working with it, shaping it, tending it so that it will give back. It's a relationship, a partnership, even if it's not always an easy one. As you work, your mind wanders back to the evening before, the family gathered around the hearth, the warmth of the fire, the shared meal. It's these moments that keep you going through the long days. The work is hard, yes, but it is also meaningful. Every task, every chore, every hour spent laboring in the field is another thread woven into the tapestry of your life. It's a life built on the land, on the work of your hands, and on the bond between you and the earth that sustains you. These moments of quiet reflection, even amid the labor, are what ground you. The sun climbs higher and the heat begins to intensify. The sweat begins to bead on your brow. The ache in your back from bending and kneeling becomes more pronounced, but the work continues. You break for a moment, wiping your brow with the back of your hand, and take a breath. The earth smells fresh here, the scent of tilled soil filling your lungs as you pause to take in the view. There is a certain beauty in it, the endless fields stretching out before you, the feeling of being part of something larger, of being connected to the land, to the seasons, to a cycle that has existed for centuries. The work of the day is steady, unrelenting, but it is not without its rewards. Each seed planted, each row tended to, brings you closer to the harvest, closer to the sustenance your family will rely on. The work itself may be repetitive, but the knowledge that it will bear fruit, that it will provide, is enough to make the effort worth it. Even on the toughest days, when the sun feels too hot, the work too much, There's a sense of fulfillment in knowing that what you do matters, that your labor has purpose, that it contributes to the survival of your family, and that in some way it connects you to generations past. Historians still debate the emotional and psychological effects of such labor-intensive lives. Some argue that the constant toil of medieval peasants left little room for leisure, for relaxation, for anything other than survival. The days were long, the work grueling, and the rewards often uncertain. Others, however, suggest that the connection between peasants and the land provided a deeper sense of meaning, a spiritual connection even. The rhythm of the seasons, the repeated cycle of planting and harvesting, created a life rooted in the land itself, in the natural world. It was a life that may have been physically demanding, but it was also rich in its connection to the earth, to the cycles of nature, and to the family and community that depended on the same rhythms. As you move through the field, planting the last row of crops, you feel a sense of accomplishment, a quiet satisfaction in the day's work. The soil is soft beneath your hands, the seeds are planted, and the land is ready to give what it can. The work is far from over. There will be weeding to do, more tending, more care. But for now, the field is prepared. You stand back for a moment, wiping your hands on your trousers, and take in the view. The work is hard, yes, but it's yours. It's the work that keeps your family fed, that keeps you connected to the earth, and that, in a strange way, connects you to all those who have worked this land before you. The sun now beats down, its rays making the air heavy and warm, and the first real sense of the day's labor takes hold of you. Your body aches, your muscles protest, but you know this feeling well. The work is never easy, but it's always necessary. You've done your part, and as you gather your tools and prepare to head back to the house, you feel the satisfaction of knowing that today, like every day before it, you have worked for something greater than yourself, and tomorrow, you will do the same. The midday sun beats down now, harsh and unyielding, as the day's work continues. The morning's labor has set the rhythm for the day, and the field stretches out before you, a sea of dirt and promise. Your body is beginning to feel the strain. The muscles in your back ache from bending, your hands are rough from gripping tools, and the heat presses against your skin like a weight. But there is no stopping now. The work must go on, for there is always more to be done. You know that this cycle, the work and the rest, the toil and the pause, is what sustains life. But that doesn't make it any easier. As you move from row to row, the dirt underfoot becomes soft and pliable, yielding to your touch as you prepare the earth for what will come next. There is something deeply satisfying in the act of planting, the way your hands can shape the land, coaxing from it what you need to survive. You run your fingers through the soil, feeling the coolness beneath the surface, a subtle reminder of how much life lies beneath the earth. You know that the seeds you've planted will need care and attention, that they are fragile things, vulnerable to the whims of nature, but you also know that with each row, each movement of your hand, you're playing your part in a larger cycle that has existed for generations. The land has always been a part of you, connected, intimate. In a way, the soil becomes an extension of your body. It's your livelihood, your connection to the past, to the future, and to the very rhythm of life. The work is hard, it's never easy, but there's a quiet pride in knowing that you are part of something so fundamental. The earth doesn't care who you are. It doesn't stop to recognize your struggles or celebrate your victories. It simply offers itself, asking for the same in return, a steady hand, a patient heart, and the willingness to keep working, even when the reward feels far off. The day begins to shift as the heat of noon settles in. The light around you grows harsher, more intense. The shadows grow short, and the land is bathed in the full glare of the sun. You pause for a moment, wiping the sweat from your brow, your breath coming in shallow pulls as the heat presses in from all sides. The world around you seems to shimmer in the sunlight, the earth turning a darker shade of brown beneath the relentless sky. There's no escaping the sun at this hour. The only option is to move with it, to continue working, to push through the heat, the sweat, and the exhaustion. You take a few more steps, bent low over the earth, the rhythm of your work steady, though the strain in your muscles is beginning to make itself known. The sun feels heavier with each passing minute, the oppressive heat a constant reminder of the labor that awaits. But there's no choice. You continue, knowing that you must finish, that the day's work will not wait for you to rest. Even in the heat of the midday sun, there is something soothing in the act of labor, in the rhythm of movement and repetition. The earth beneath your hands, the seeds planted in neat rows, the steady motion of your body, all of it creates a flow, a natural rhythm that carries you through the fatigue. The work doesn't feel like a series of tasks that must be crossed off a list. It feels like something deeper, something that connects you to the land, to the generations before you, and to the future generations that will follow. You are part of this cycle, part of this never-ending dance between earth and sky, labor and rest. Historians often debate the role of work in the lives of peasants. Some suggest that the endless cycle of labor left little room for leisure, for enjoyment, or for rest. Others argue that this constant work created a unique sense of meaning, a deeper connection to the world around them. Whether it was the satisfaction of a day's work or the fulfillment of providing for your family, the physical labor, though grueling, held a kind of beauty in its predictability and purpose. There was peace in knowing that your actions were tied directly to your survival, that every hour spent working the land was an investment in the future. As the sun climbs higher, you find yourself slowing down, the fatigue of the morning catching up with you. But there is still so much to do, and rest is a luxury that cannot yet be afforded. The next task, the next row of crops, the next field, there is always something to do, always work to be completed before the end of the day. You take another deep breath, steadying yourself against the weight of the day, and push forward. The first signs of the afternoon shift begin to make themselves known. The heat continues to beat down, but there is a slight coolness to the breeze that promises relief. You pause again, wiping your brow, taking a moment to look at the work you've accomplished. The rows are beginning to fill, the earth gradually becoming a patchwork of green and brown, a testament to your effort. The satisfaction of seeing progress, of knowing that each small action brings you closer to the harvest, is enough to carry you through the rest of the day. As the sun begins to dip lower in the sky, the heat starts to recede, and the pace of work slows just a little. There is still plenty to do, but the pressure of the midday sun, the intensity of the heat, has passed. The land, now warm and glowing under the late afternoon light, seems to sigh, exhaling the tension of the day. You feel it too, this slow transition from labor to rest, from the demands of work to the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. And yet, even as you stand there, taking in the beauty of the land you've worked, you know that tomorrow will bring more of the same. The cycle continues, the seasons turn, and the work of the land never truly ends. But for now, as the shadows stretch long across the field and the sun sinks lower, you feel the weight of the day begin to lift. The end of another laborious day is on the horizon, and with it comes the comfort of rest. The evening is finally creeping in, the sun beginning to dip below the horizon and casting a soft orange glow across the fields. The relentless heat of the midday sun has faded, leaving behind a cooler, gentler air. The work of the day, though far from complete, has slowed to a manageable pace. There's a stillness in the air now, a peace that follows the long hours of labor. As you step back from the field and take a long, deep breath, you can almost taste the day's work, the earth, the sweat, the effort of it all. The land is now waiting, just as it always does, for the next cycle, the next act of care that will bring it closer to harvest. The fields, once a barren canvas of dry earth, are beginning to show the faintest signs of life. The crops you've planted in the morning are nestled in neat rows, their tender shoots barely visible in the soft twilight. This is the part of the day when the weight of the work begins to lift, when the harsh demands of labor soften into something more manageable. The work is still there, it always will be, but now it feels more like a quiet ritual, something almost sacred in its repetition. The barn is now calling to you once again. It's time to check on the animals for the second time today. The evening chores are as much a part of the rhythm of your life as the planting and the tending. The barn, where the animals are tucked in for the night, has its own rhythm, its own way of winding down at the close of day. The cows, having been fed earlier, are now settling down in their stalls, their soft breathing filling the space. The chickens are already roosting, their feathers fluffed up against the evening chill, and the pigs are quiet in their pens, occasionally snorting in contentment. The barn feels more like a home now, a place of refuge and rest for both you and the animals. You move through the barn methodically, ensuring that each animal is settled and secure for the night. The animals have become an integral part of your life, no longer just creatures you care for, but companions that share in the rhythm of your day. Their care is a constant, a task that you've come to accept as naturally as breathing. They depend on you, but in a way, you depend on them just as much. Without their milk, eggs, and meat, survival would be much harder. It's not just about feeding them, it's about keeping the balance, ensuring that each creature is safe and well cared for. As you finish your final rounds in the barn, you close the doors gently, making sure that the night will pass without incident. The barn, its inhabitants now resting peacefully, is ready for the quiet of the night. The sounds of the animals, gentle lowing, the rustling of feathers, are soft and soothing in the quiet of the evening, a reminder of the connection between you, the land, and the creatures who help sustain your life. The world outside is now fully settled into the evening. The sun is dipping below the hills, casting long, stretching shadows over the land, the last traces of daylight slowly fading away. The day's work has drawn to a close, and there's a feeling of accomplishment in the air, a sense that you've done all you can for today. The land is in good shape, the animals are cared for, and now it's time to take a moment to rest. As you make your way back to the house, the quiet stillness of the evening surrounds you. The wind carries the scent of earth and growing things, the air cool and refreshing after the heat of the day. The chirping of crickets and the soft rustle of leaves in the trees are the only sounds that break the silence. The world has slowed, and for the moment, there's a sense of peace, a respite from the demands of the day. Inside the house, the fire has been rekindled. The warmth from the hearth spreads through the room, offering a welcome relief from the coolness of the evening air. The family is gathered around the table again, sharing the evening meal. The conversation is quieter now, the laughter more subdued as everyone settles into the rhythm of the evening. There's no rush here. The day has ended, and now it's time to enjoy the food, the company, and the rest that you've earned. The simple act of eating together, of sharing a meal at the close of the day, is more than just a necessity. It's a connection, a time to reflect on the day's work and to prepare for the challenges that tomorrow will bring. Historians still debate how peasants, despite the heavy burden of daily labor, found moments of joy and connection in their lives. Some believe that shared meals, like the one you're having now, were an essential part of the emotional and social life of peasants, providing not just sustenance but a sense of community and family. Others argue that the constant labor left little room for emotional fulfillment, that survival was the primary concern and everything else was secondary. But as you sit with your family, sharing a humble meal, you know that these moments of connection, no matter how small, are what give meaning to the work, what turn the hard labor into something more. As the meal winds down and the last pieces of bread are passed around, the evening quiets. The children begin to doze off, their eyes heavy with sleep. The older members of the family start to prepare for bed, moving slowly through the familiar motions of the evening routine. The work of the day is over, and the night is finally yours. The fire flickers softly in the hearth, casting a gentle glow across the room, and the sounds of the world outside fade into the background. The world is still, quiet now, and tomorrow's work feels distant, as though it doesn't need to be thought about just yet. The day is done, and for tonight, you have earned your rest. The night settles in completely now. The sky a deep velvet black, dotted with countless stars. The moon hangs high above, a quiet sentinel in the vast expanse of the heavens. The world outside has quieted, and inside, the soft glow of the firelight casts long shadows on the walls, flickering as the embers settle into their final, gentle heat. The room is peaceful now, with only the occasional crackle of the fire to break the silence. This is the end of the day, the end of another cycle of work, rest, and repetition. But as you sit there, the weight of the day finally lifting, there is a sense of peace in knowing that you've done what needed to be done, that the work you've put in will carry you through to tomorrow. As you settle into your place by the fire, a deep sigh escapes your lips. The exhaustion of the day, the aches in your bones, the heavy weariness that has followed you since sunrise finally begin to slip away. The rhythm of the day is over, and the night now has its own rhythm. It's a rhythm of stillness, of rest, of renewal. The quiet moments of reflection, the soft sounds of the fire, the gentle breathing of family members already drifting off to sleep remind you that, despite the endless labor, there is space for rest, space for peace. Historians sometimes argue about the mental and physical toll of the medieval peasant's life. Life on the land was demanding, and the labor was never ending. But there was a rhythm to it, a cycle that, when completed, brought a quiet satisfaction. The work itself, though exhausting, was never without its rewards. There was satisfaction in the results: food on the table, shelter from the elements, the warmth of the hearth. Even the exhaustion felt earned. And as the night deepens, there's a sense that, no matter the toil, there was meaning in the labor, in the work of living. This moment of quiet at the end of the day, when the world sleeps, is a time to reflect on that meaning. The house is cool now, the fire barely more than a smoldering collection of red-hot embers, casting the room in a soft amber glow. The children, tucked safely into bed, are already lost in their dreams. They're breathing soft and steady. The older members of the household are likewise settling into their own rest, their bodies heavy with the fatigue of the day. The last bit of conversation fades into silence, and the house, once filled with the sounds of work and laughter, is now still, each person finding their way to rest. The night has a way of deepening your connection to the world. When the day is over and the fire burns low, there is something profoundly calming about the quiet that fills the house. The sounds of the earth, the occasional hoot of an owl, the rustling of leaves in the wind, mingle with the low hum of the house, the subtle creaks of the beams settling, the soft crackle of embers in the hearth. This is the world in its simplest form, and it is here, in this stillness, that you find your peace. As you prepare for bed, the familiar motions of pulling blankets up and adjusting your straw mattress seem almost automatic, yet comforting. There's no need to rush now. The day is done. The animals are fed, the fields are cared for, the barn doors are closed, and the house is secure. For now, there is only rest. The tiredness that weighs on your body seems to melt away as you lie down, the warmth of the blankets wrapping around you like a soft, protective cocoon. The world outside may be dark and cold, but inside there is warmth, there is comfort, and there is peace. The moonlight filters softly through the window, casting a gentle glow across the room. It's the kind of soft light that lulls you into sleep, a quiet reminder of the night and all that it holds. The house, now silent and still, feels like a haven, a place where, for a few hours at least, the demands of the day can be forgotten. The outside world is distant now, fading away with the passing of the sun. In this moment, you are safe, you are home, and you are at rest. Tomorrow, the work will begin again. The sun will rise, the birds will sing, and the day's tasks will once again demand your attention. The cycle will continue, as it always does, but tonight, there is peace, there is rest. There is the comfort of knowing that you have done what was necessary, and for now, that is enough. The promise of tomorrow is distant, and the world outside can wait. As sleep takes over, you feel the weight of the day slip from you. The rhythmic pulse of the night, the soft sounds of your family, the warmth of the blankets, and the quiet of the world outside all blend together into a single, soothing lullaby. The labor of the day is over, the worries of tomorrow are not yet here, and in this moment, you find rest. The night stretches on, and the cycle of work, rest, and renewal begins anew. But for now, it is time to sleep. Sweet dreams.